Stockholm på hotell Amaranten och jag har en fantastisk vinmakare med oss idag från Portugal och den gamla släkten, portvinsläkten Niepoort, som i 50 generationen här, Dirk bredvid mig. Welcome to Punkvin.
Thank you.
So, how are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you very much, and we are happy that you are here to want to be our guest, and we are going to try some of your wines. And I would like you to tell us something about the situation in Portugal wine business and your opinion about it and trends and whatever.
No, basically I think Portugal went from very old-fashioned, from being politically, economically on the side of Europe and closed, into being now open to the world, which means Portugal is a real treasure in terms of grape varieties, of old wines and old traditions, while all the other countries in the last 80, 100 years have been renovating, changing, making things better, which I put a big question mark on that, some of them destroying their culture. Portugal was stuck in time, and so I like to say Portugal is a lost treasure, which now we are finding back. So we went in one way from making hard, aggressive, oxidized, heavy wines into the other side, which is making very modern, fruity, well-made wines. I say this a little bit in a negative way because I think Portugal should reconsider and try to learn from the traditions and combine the traditions with the modern technology. And I think that's what Portugal should be doing. We should keep our old-fashioned varieties. I think the world is getting fed up with Cabernet, Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc. Everybody has planted them, everybody has them in big quantities, and Portugal has a little bit of that, but I think what Portugal should really concentrate on is recovering the interesting old varieties and making wines with character, personality, and not just another Cabernet, Sauvignon Blanc and Chardonnay. But Portugal is halfway through it, but sometimes I'm a little bit afraid that we go too fast and we change too fast and we do the same thing as the other countries, and that's not the future of Portugal.
And do you think you are very alone thinking, having these opinions about the old grape vines and to keep them, or are there a lot of winemakers thinking the same direction as you?
Let's put it this way. I've been stubborn about my theory for the last 25 years, and in the beginning everybody thought I was crazy. I think now it's changing a little bit, and there are people considering going back and keeping the traditions, but there's too many still going the modern way in a too aggressive way. So I think we should be careful, because once you rip out the old vines, they are gone, and you have to wait another 80 years for them to be old. On top of that, I'm not sure that the modern logic is really better. The old people were not stupid. Some things don't make sense in our days, but a lot of it does make sense. But I think Portugal is going slower in destroying all the traditions.
It's a pity.
Yeah.
And concerning the wine regions, there are some wine regions that are also disappearing, the old colares, and some wine regions that hardly doesn't exist today.
Well, that's inevitable, I think, because of land prices, because it's so near to Lisbon, it's so beautiful from the scenery. Unfortunately, it's disappearing. On the other hand, there are other areas which I think should be recovered, like Berättar, I think has a great future, even though it has a bad reputation in Portugal. Luckily, you don't have the reputation so bad here, but I think there is a lot of potential to make great wines there. The south is much more organized and much more professional in its attitude. It's more in the north that things are changing in a more dramatic way. Some things are good, some things are less good, but there's still a great potential. Porto Alegre is an area which was totally forgotten, and there are some winemakers making some incredible wines there. There's many things that can be done.
And Bairrada has a bad reputation. Is that because of the Baga grape or the
Well,
wine
the problem
making?
is not the problem is not Baga. Baga is a fantastic variety, but it's a fussy, difficult variety. But the truth is, some of the worst wines in Portugal are made in Bairrada. Maybe because it's difficult, maybe because the people don't want to learn. In fact, Bairrada is a good example of an area which makes some of the best wines, but absolutely makes some of the worst wines. And they went from being very closed and not trying to learn anything from anybody to now ripping out Baga and replanting it with Merlot and Cabernet. And I think that's really bad news. It's a shame.
That's a pity. Yeah, really.
But it's still there. There are still old wines there. It's still possible to break and stop and make something out of it.
So today, what would be the most typical Portuguese wine region still making traditional wines?
I couldn't say, because I think in the whole of Portugal there's a sort of revolution going on. Down used to be the most famous area. I think there's a huge potential, but again, I think Down is going in the wrong direction. It drives me a bit crazy because I've been putting my nose into Down a little bit, and it's amazing you don't find old vines anymore. The oldest really is 35 years old. Anything after that is difficult to find. I like to say it's contaminated with Touriga Nacional. Everybody is planting Touriga Nacional. And it's funny because everybody says that's the variety of Down, but if you look at the old vines, usually there was no Touriga Nacional, or very small quantity. So I think that it's exaggeration. I have nothing against Touriga Nacional by itself, but I have a lot of concern. The people are making the problem. They are planting too much of it, and it's a very strong variety. It contaminates the wines, and if you have 10-15% of Touriga Nacional in a blend, it's too much. It already shows. So we will face a moment where everybody's going to have too much of it. It's a shame. But Down has a potential. Bairrada, I think it's the most exciting terroir in Portugal, but making very bad wines. But I believe there is a great future in it. And then there's things like Trás dos Montes, which nobody talks about, but there are some fantastic possibilities there as well.